What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I want to talk about two things, okay? Two things. We're going to talk about additional stimulus checks coming from states, and we're going to talk about Bernie Sanders and how he is pushing and demands more stimulus. Those are the two things we are going to address in today's video. We're not going to talk about COVID. We're not going to talk about Afghanistan. We're just going to talk about stimulus. And here we go. First, we do have some good news. According to multiple reports, that now again, this just pertains to people on unemployment, but according to multiple reports, there are states that are considering sending out a stimulus check to people that are on unemployment. So about 7 million people throughout the United States could be potentially getting a stimulus check depending on which state they are coming from. But according to the White House and Treasury today, they stated that states can either issue a single one-time payment to people on unemployment, or they have the option to send out a recurring payment. It could be weekly or it could be monthly, also to people on unemployment. That is the good news. However, just keep in mind, this won't happen until after September 6th. Also keep in mind that states could change their mind. They could start planning something and then all of a sudden flip. States could also not be planning anything, and here's the good news, according to reports, this is where many states are at. They're in kind of limbo. They're waiting to see what happens, what their state is going to look like after the unemployment benefits expire. They don't have to start paying out people on unemployment as soon as the September 6th date hits. They can wait a couple weeks, maybe even a few months. It's all up to them. So they have the option to wait, and that's what many states are going to do. They want to see what's going to happen with people that are on unemployment currently and what happens with the Delta COVID variant. So we're going to see what happens there. But right now, economists are saying that the Biden administration won't pass a federal unemployment extension because certain parts of the economy are doing much better. They're doing quite well, and people are not suffering because of unemployment. And so they do not want to do a full-on, federal unemployment extension. But this is what makes me somewhat upset. And my guess is this is going to make many people mad as well, because we saw this exact same thing with the $2,000 stimulus checks. Here's what happened. If you remember, when lawmakers were discussing that $2,000 stimulus check, and that was being headed by Republican Josh Hawley and Democrat Bernie Sanders, what we know is that right now we're seeing this exact same thing. Back then, they were pushing for a $2,000 stimulus check, but they only agreed to pass a $1,400 stimulus check after, again, mind you, after a lot of lawmakers were complaining that millions of people will be getting a $1,400 stimulus check that do not need it and don't actually deserve it. And which is true. That is 100% true. But here's what you need to understand. They came out and said that less than 1% of the over 160 million stimulus checks that were going to be sent out were going to go to people that didn't need it. Less than 1%. They did not need that money. They were multimillionaires, right? And they just, the way they did taxes, they only got a certain amount of money. So they still received some form of that $1,400. And so again, this is what is crazy is lawmakers, they go and look at, okay, the minority might benefit. So let's not pass any legislation so that the majority of Americans benefit from our bills. And that's crazy to me. And let me know if you just absolutely hate this as well, because this is the way they are conducting business at this time. And it's tough for me to even see this, okay? But that's what's happening. Now, this is also why many lawmakers say additional stimulus is still needed. That we still need additional stimulus, whether it's a check, whether it's some other government program, we still need additional stimulus, not just to stimulate the economy, but stimulate the American people, get them back on their feet so that they can go and find a job. They can afford to move to a new city and find a job if they have to. They can't afford to drive, get a car, drive somewhere, or take public transportation, go somewhere to go to work. This is the difficult part, is some people cannot afford to even go somewhere to go to work. And this is why some people are saying, give the American people a $2,000 stimulus check so that they can afford to make a life-changing decision. Simple as that. Now, Bernie Sanders, he came out yesterday and he said that he's the one that helped create the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. He helped do this along with President Biden himself and President Biden's framework. But Bernie Sanders stated that he has been negotiating. He has been reviewing all the different proposals that have come his way. And he said the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill needs to be much bigger. Now, he didn't specify how much bigger. He didn't specify what is going to be included. He didn't even state what he wants in addition to what he's mentioned before. However, the reports are there's multiple pieces of legislation that are going to go to the American people, but all these different pieces of legislation have to be accounted for. And if you account for all these, which weren't initially thought of, that's going to exceed that $3.5 trillion bill. The bad news is Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, they do not support a $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. But this is one of the reasons why progressives, which Bernie Sanders is, progressives are holding on to that card, holding on to that kind of ace up their sleeve or trump card. And they are saying they will not vote on that bipartisan $1.2 trillion bill until that $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, that Democrat-only budget reconciliation bill, is passed. So that's where things are going to get very interesting. But experts have told us multiple times, Democrats must go bigger or else they run the risk of losing the majorities in the House and the Senate. Right now, experts are telling us the majorities will go to Republicans. It will be a Republican-held Senate and House. I can tell you right now, President Biden, he does not want to deal with Mitch McConnell. He does not want to deal with a Republican House and Senate. He will not get his legislation through. That's one of the reasons why, according to reports this morning, Nancy Pelosi is pushing to get that $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill passed now, because if not, there will not be another chance. This is what is going to define her legacy. Now, it also looks like Bernie Sanders is going to take the warning from experts and he is going to push for more. He wants to demand more, but yet Republicans are coming out saying that they absolutely love this, because if Bernie Sanders pushes for too much and it's too big and he gets pushback from his own party, it would actually hurt Democrats' chances of retaining their seats in the House and the Senate. But we're going to have to see, because we're over a year away from the midterm elections. Remember, progressives are the ones that have been pushing for those $2,000 per month stimulus checks. At this time, there is not many people that believe a $2,000 monthly stimulus check is going to happen. I also want to warn you guys, there are many reports out there, and I have not seen anything from Congress, any lawmaker, President Biden himself, any states whatsoever. There's reports out there stating that a federal stimulus check is coming, and it's coming at the end of this month. Now, we're on August 27th, so we only have a handful of days. I can tell you right now, the House and Senate are not in session. They're not voting on anything. There's no stimulus check in the works, in the pipeline at this time. And a standalone stimulus check cannot happen, because it would at least need 10 Republican voters. And 10 Republican voters for a stimulus check that they say wasn't needed the last time, that is not going to happen. So, if you guys are seeing those reports, and I see a lot of people in the comments saying, hey, I just heard we're getting a stimulus check at the end of the month, that's not true, okay? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I like to just report the facts. And the fact is, there is no stimulus check coming at this time. The other fact is, and again, I tell you this just bluntly, there's nobody at this time proposing a stimulus check. There's nobody proposing it that we're hearing of. There's reports that people want to, but they haven't got the support. They don't want to do the work, whatever it may be. There's no bill, there's no proposal for a fourth stimulus check at this time. I do think there will be one, but I do think it will be disguised as something else. Possibly an increase of an earned income tax credit, increase higher than what it is now, maybe an adult tax credit, we don't know. But I do think there will be additional stimulus included into the next infrastructure bill. Also, progressives say they want to see more for elderly, they want to see more for parents, families, children, and they want to do everything that they can to make this happen. And they say they will fund this by taxing the rich and large corporations. So at this time, and I just want to warn you, we are going to see a lot of fighting. We're going to see fighting not only between Republicans and Democrats. We are going to see fighting between Democrats and Democrats. We'll see fighting between progressives and Democrats. We will see fighting between the Senate and the House. We are going to see a lot of fighting, which when we see fighting, it usually means more delays. So that is what we know. But as always, as I know more, I promise I'll be back on here to fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Hopefully you have an incredible weekend as well. I will be on here tomorrow. I'll provide you a morning update as well, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. But again, thank you guys for watching. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoyed today's video. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.